Shame. We've all felt it, haven't we? We've felt shame for our bodies because someone shamed us or made us feel uncomfortable in our bodies. I remember being 9 years old, feeling that shame when my sister Lizelle and her friend terrorized me. They were 11, and their breasts began to bloom. They teased me. "You're nothing but a pirate's dream. Pirate's dream, pirate's dream." Do you want to know why they call me a pirate's dream? Because I had a sunken chest. Arr. They did it to get a rise out of me, and it worked. I would get so mad, and they laughed and laughed. But in those moments, I felt like something was wrong with me. Eventually, I laughed along with them to hide my pain and shame, and the teasing stopped. And that's how I learned to cope. I laughed. By the time I was 11, I thought, yes, finally, puberty. Nothing bloomed. So my cousin Jillian and I hatched this brilliant plan to take wads of toilet paper, stuff them in our shirts. Those fake boobs gave us confidence. We walked around with our shoulders back and our chest out. But it came with a risk when we started wearing it out in public, because at any moment, those suspended wads could slip, become lopsided, or completely fall out. How did we become so dissatisfied with our bodies at such a young age? Well, it's because we compared it to something or someone. President Theodore Roosevelt says that comparison is the thief of joy. But are our brains wired to compare? Neuroimaging studies provide evidence that the brain is indeed wired for social comparison, especially when processing rewarding information. And we can either have an upward social comparison that encourages us to strive for more, or a downward social comparison that crushes us when we don't believe we can achieve it. Well, my reward finally came at 13. See, I'd wanted them so badly because all of my classmates, they weren't just wearing bras, they were complaining about them. And I wasn't invited into any of those conversations. I went to an all-girls school, so you know those were a lot of conversations. But seemingly, overnight, they came in. And oh boy, did they come in. I skipped over the A cup. I went straight to B, then C, then D in the blink of an eye. My father even commented one day that pretty soon he'll have to take me to the dentist because at any moment I was going to topple forward, hit my face on the concrete, and break all my front teeth. Yeah, thanks, Dad. But I did have one moment of just sheer panic one day when my class had a field trip to the beach. I only had one bathing suit. It was a two-piece from my pirate days. It didn't quite fit me as well, and I felt really self-conscious. But my friends helped me relax and have fun on the beach that day until it happened. A rogue wave assaulted me. It crashed down on top of me, pulled me under, tumbled me like a dryer, ripped my bikini top off, and washed it out to sea, along with my dignity. I stood there. I was mortified. I didn't want to go back to school the next day. I wished I never had breasts in the first place. That day, I made a vow. I was never, ever, ever going to wear a bikini ever again in my life. And I'm not the only one to ever make a vow like that. In a Special K Own It body confidence survey, 48% of women surveyed said that they hated the beach or the pool because they didn't want to be seen in a bathing suit. 7 out of 10 said that at least once a week they had an I hate my body moment, and 82% hated their bellies and their midsection. It's so tough to be in a body that you don't love. I felt ashamed of my body because I was shamed in my body. And that shame didn't just come from society, it came from my own thoughts, believing in some phantom perception of perfection that I could never live up to. As my breasts continued to develop, I got more attention, but not the attention I was expecting to fit in with my classmates. No, I got attention from grown men, and as a teenager, I didn't know how to handle that. So I wore big, baggy shirts, and I walked with my shoulders hunched forward to hide myself. The very thing that I wanted so badly now made me feel icky all the time. But that feeling was a choice. And I didn't know that at 13. I didn't know it at 23 or 33 or even 43. I didn't know that having shame for your body and yourself was a choice. There's this scientific principle that whatever we focus on expands. I mean, literally. And we have to learn to stop focusing on the negative in order to shift that narrative from loathing to loving ourselves. But how do we do that? For me, merely reciting "I love me" affirmations daily in a mirror was not enough to change decades of self-loathing, and I tried. I needed to learn how to shift myself into self-love and to stop feeling that ugh whenever I looked in the mirror. You know what I'm talking about when I say ugh, right? Because it's not just the words that we're saying, it's that feeling that resonates to the core of our being. When you stand in front of your mirror, naked, and you're looking at yourself, ugh, that's the feeling. See, I got that feeling when I looked at my breasts because they weren't what or where I thought they should be. In my early 20s, I went from D to double D to triple D. Yeah, I had triple Ds, but I did not love them. I didn't even like them because I didn't know how to deal with the over-sexualized attention they gave me. I didn't want to be seen as a rack with short legs, and I couldn't find bras that fit me because at 98 pounds, they didn't really make D cups. So I either had a ton of spillage or the band would ride up my back like a gun holster. That's not what a bra is supposed to do. I just felt uncomfortable all the time until I discovered two things that gave me the perspective shift I needed, shifting me from loathing to loving myself. Number one, I made a decision. I made the decision to stop hating my body. That was a choice. And number two, I took action on that decision. A decision alone is not enough. We have to change what we're doing to shift how we're believing. Make a decision, take action. All right? Sounds easy. Oh, but it's not. I had to consciously be aware of myself and catch my thoughts and my words whenever they went negative. Now, I want to give you some tangible examples of what I did once I discovered this. Back in 2019, I decided that for my 50th birthday, I was finally going to conquer this bikini trauma that I have carried my entire adult life. I was going to celebrate on a cruise with my sister and my cousin. And I told them, I am going to buy a bikini and I am going to wear it on that cruise. And they were like, what? You? In a bikini? Ha! This we have to see to believe. I drug them on an exhaustive search to find just the right bikini. And anyone that's been bathing suit shopping knows how hard that is. Well, we finally found the suit. And I wore it on the cruise. I wore it on the beach. And yes, I even wore it in the waves. I made the decision and I took action. Now, during that entire search for that bikini, I felt multiple lumps in both my breasts that were growing rapidly to the point of protruding out of my skin. So when we returned, I went to the doctor, and she concluded that they were benign cysts that just needed to be drained. Whew. The morning of the procedure, I felt something else. It felt like a half a grain of rice or coarse sea salt. Remember earlier I said comparison is the thief of joy? Well, compared to those massive cysts, this felt like nothing. So I said nothing. I had 8 cysts drained that day, but I kept feeling this nagging feeling, so I finally spoke up. And I learned later on from a biopsy that that seemingly insignificant mass was malignant. It was breast cancer. 1 out of every 8 women and 1 in 800 men in the United States will be diagnosed with some form of breast cancer in their lifetime. They found 3 tumors that were clustered together. The first surgeon I went to gave her recommendation for a complete left breast mastectomy. She said, by removing it, I won't have to worry about breast cancer returning in that breast ever again. Wait, what? Remove my entire left breast over 3 half grains of rice? I didn't know how I felt about that. I mean, the thing that I had loathed for so long in my life, the bane of my existence, the wish I made on that beach all those years ago could be coming true. But how did I really feel in this moment? While praying about it, my spirit rose up inside of me and said, "Don't you dare!" And in that moment, I knew the next decision and action that I had to take was to fight. I needed to fight to save my breasts. Well, I had to find a new surgeon. But in the meantime, I hired a hormone health coach, and I changed my diet and my lifestyle. I was eventually led to a brilliant oncoplastic surgeon who was able to remove the tumors and reconstruct my breasts using my own tissue. After all, there was enough of it to go around. I made the decision not to remove my breasts and then took action to find the right health professionals to save them. Now, I was fortunate and blessed to have found these tumors in the early stages. And I am not a medical professional, and I am in no way giving anyone medical advice. A mastectomy could be the only way to save your life. And I've had friends and family members that have had to make that difficult, gut-wrenching decision days after diagnosis. Unfortunately, 92% of women that have had any kind of cancer-related treatment have body image issues afterwards. But I'm here to tell you today that I love my body and I love my breasts, not because they were reduced, but because I did the work ahead of time to love them when it mattered. Words and thoughts of shame were no longer going to dominate my life. So, after hearing this today, I want to challenge you to go stand in front of that mirror, naked, yes, with all the lights on, and take a long look at yourself. And don't you dare, but instead, make the decision to love every part of you. And then take the action to go prove it.